All right, everybody, I've got my little timer here on the screen. That means I've got roughly a minute to tell you guys what's going on today, announcements, and then we're going to get to the show, which that's what everyone's here for. We're going to get to our sight reading and all of that. So first off, I hope all the dojo members are joining in. If you want to join the dojo, you can download the PDFs here. There's also a link to my books down in the description there. Also, check out my channel if you want to see, some music theory videos, sight reading. One of the things I'm trying to do better than everybody else is do long form guitar lessons, hour of music theory, 2.5 hours of sight reading. And tomorrow there's going to be Fernando Soares Opus 60 #1. I'm going to try and put up roughly once a week a long form classical guitar lesson. So lots in store for you guys. And that is time's up for my announcements. So without further ado, let's go through the musical morning. Remember, musical mornings every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Mountain Time. I'm here in lovely Colorado Springs. So I'm going to grab my beautiful classical guitar here, and we're going to start with warm-up exercise number 1. So this one's a rather large exercise. You can see it's blocking my hands. I'm going to move the camera here in a moment. But these are all open strings. This is just a finger picking pattern. So I'm going to move my camera here. Now, the first section, we're going thumb on the low E, index on the G, middle on the B, and annular on the high E. That's our pattern. And then what our thumb is going to do is going to go to the A, then to the D, back to the A, and it is going to repeat. Tom Rafa, hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing? So let's do the first part here, and then I'm going to run you through the second part. So we have thumb, the pattern, and then repeat. And then next what we're going to do is we're going to be doing an alternation between thumb and index. So it's going to go thumb, index on the G, then thumb on the next string, index on the G, thumb on the next string, and then back. So same thumb pattern, but now we're doing it a little faster. In one measure, you're going to do the index in between each thumb, and then the next measure, you're going to do the middle. So we're going to do the same pattern. And then thumb and ring on the high E. All right. So let's take a look at the entire exercise with repeats. NG is here. Good morning, NG. Here we go. All right, there is warm-up number 1. Let's take a look at our second warm-up, which is going to involve both hands. So this one, we're starting on our A string, on A on the low E string, rather. So that will be our 5th fret. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going up just more or less chromatically from the low E all the way up to the high E. Now, if anybody has any questions, please leave them in the chat. I will take care of questions at the end of the show. So when we're doing this, notice how I'm leaving my fingers down, and then I bring my index here, and then they all lift up the moment I play that note. That's the real trick. And then we just go all the way up to the high E like this, being very careful to play on our fingertips and to be very close to those frets. And then we just go backwards. So let's take a look, guys. make sure that also one of the biggest things is to allow your thumb to travel with your hand. So my hand is doing this. All right, let's take a look at our third warm-up exercise. I think 3 is a good number for warm-ups. It allows you to really let your warm-up exercise sink in, which is very, very important. So I'm going to point the camera at my right hand and then my left hand, but I first want to talk about the picking pattern here. So this is from Giuliani's Opus 1, number 2. This is one, if you guys are familiar with my material, you've probably seen this exercise before. We're going to use probably one of these Giuliani exercises every episode because they're so good. So the picking pattern here, your thumb is going to be traveling from the A string to the D string to the G string and then back to the A string and then repeat. And in between, you're going to go index middle on the B, E. So we have thumb, index middle, thumb, index middle, thumb, index middle, thumb, index middle, and then A string again. That whole pattern repeats. So let's take a look at the left hand here. You'll see that I'm doing a C chord, and then we're doing a G7 in first inversion. So it's like a G7, but leaving this low note out. So that's going to be your second fret of the A, third fret of the B, first fret of the high E. And of course your C chord is third of the A, second of the D, first of the B. So what we do is we finger pick through the first chord, the C, and when we go to switch, we're going to switch them kind of as we need. You'll see I go to this finger, then that finger, then that finger as we need so that the switch is nice and smooth. And then you're going to go through the same picking pattern and then repeat. And then chords. All right. So let's go ahead and go through this entire exercise. Okay, there's our warm-up exercises, guys. So we're going to move on to our music theory quiz here. The music theory quiz, let me get this all set up. I'm going to take it off the screen. Today we're going to be doing intervals. The music theory quizzes are going to be either note finding, interval identification, or chord identification. Last time was note finding. This, episode 2, I want to do interval identification to just make a nice variety. As this show progresses, we'll get to more and more difficult material. Next episode, we're going to do chord identification, and then we're going to cycle back around. So in this case, we're doing interval. And we're going to do all our intervals in the key of C major here, which is something we've done before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up the quiz on the screen, and then I'm going to start our timer. I'm going to give you guys 1 minute to identify these. Let me know how you guys like the 1 minute timer. Let me know if you want it to be 30 seconds or maybe 2 minutes. I'm going to give you guys a minute to identify these. Good morning, ERT. And Ton, I will answer your question at the end of the episode for sure. All right, 20 seconds, guys. 20 seconds on the clock to identify these. Also, remember, guys, hit the thumbs up for this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do that. But definitely hit that thumbs up and leave a comment for me. I love comments. All right, guys, time is up. Time is up. I'm going to show you the answers and multiple places to play these, right? So this first interval, C up to G. That's the interval of a perfect fifth. So you can get third fret of the A as well as your open G, right? You can also get third fret of the A as well as fifth fret of the D. That's your fifth shape as well. You can also get fifth fret of the G and then eighth fret of the low E. That's also a perfect fifth shape. Okay, so next we have F up to D. That is a major sixth. Major sixth, F up to D. So we can get that here, of course, but we can also, so that's third of the D, third of the B, but we can also get an eighth of the A and 7th of the G. Right? We could also, if you wanted to do a stretchy one, 3rd of the D and 7th of the G works as well for major 6th. Next we have E up to C, which is a minor 6. Minor 6. So, if we're going to play this, the 2nd fret of the D and 1st fret of the B, right? And then we can also get 5th or 7th fret of the A and 5th fret of the G. That's another way to do it. And you could, if you like, do this. That's another way to do it. And it's not as stretchy as the major 6th, right? So 2nd of the D and 5th of the G there. Next we have D up to F. That is our minor 3rd. 3rd fret of the B, 1st fret of the high E. D to F, minor 3rd. That is our 4th interval there for those just joining us. We can also grab that on the 7th of the G with 6th of the B, right? And also 12th of the D and 10th of the G for our minor 3rd. Next is E up to A, perfect 4th. Remember that shape is stacked right up on top of each other, so you can get 2nd of the D and G as well as 7th of the A and D. All right, guys, let's keep moving. Keep moving. F up to E, that is a major 7th. What a cool sound. So 3rd fret of the D and open high E. We also have 3rd fret of the D, and we can get 5th fret of the B. Right? Same 5th fret of the B and 8th fret of the A is another way to get it. And you can also grab your 8th fret of the A and then 9th fret of the G. Right? So it helps to play these intervals in multiple places, really get to know that fretboard. E up to D there, and let me actually get the timer off the screen. There we go. E up to D is our minor 7th, right? So you can get 2nd of the D, 3rd of the B, right? You can also get the 7th of the A as well as 3rd of the B if you want to do a stretchy one, or 7th and 7th A to G, right? That works just fine too. And 7th up to 12th for another stretchy one for that minor 7th. All right, let's keep moving. Next we have G and B. We can get those just as open strings. That's a major 3rd. We can also get 5th fret and 4th fret D and G, right? Another major 3rd. We can also get 10th fret of the A and then 9th fret of the D, right? Next is F up to C, perfect 5th, the 2nd to last interval there. As a perfect 5th, we have our perfect 5th shape, just like this. This is the only spot to play it. Nice and easy, right? After that, the last interval on the screen, and then we're going to do another set of them, is F up to A, a major 3rd. A major 3rd. So that's 3rd and 2nd there. D up to G, right? And we can also do 8th and 7th, A to D. All right, guys, let's take a look at the next part of the interval quiz. I'm going to start the timer again. Let me know how you guys like the 1 minute time frame for this. I think 1 minute is pretty good. And again, you know, if this stuff, if you struggle with it, then just keep joining in episode after episode, and you'll get better at it, I promise you. These are all intervals in C major that you guys are trying to identify. Send me any questions, and I will be looking to answer them at the end of the lesson. "25 seconds on the clock. Identifying intervals in C major." I'm going to be giving you guys the answer when the time runs up. "10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, time's up. Time's up. Let's start looking at these. Okay, G up to E, starting with a major 6. You get those 2 open strings, your G and your high E, right? But you can also get 5th of the D and B for that, right? And you can also go up and get 10th and 9th from A to G, right? Those are all shapes. Next, A to C is a minor 3rd. Good job, Angie, on that one. You got the correct answer. Guys, please put your answers down in the chat. The chat is a great place. I want everybody to get to know each other. We all are trying to get better together, right? That's the idea. So A to C, minor third, this really is kind of the only spot that you can play this. Next, D to D is our octave. Angie got that one correct again, too. Now you do open and third fret of the B, right? You can also do third fret of the B and fifth fret of the A. That's another octave shape. Fifth fret of the A, and then seventh fret of the G is another octave shape, right? And you can also grab 10 and 12, low E to A. So once you identify these guys, get really good at finding them. C to F is a perfect fourth. Good job, Angie. Very good. And Tom got it too. Good job, Tom. So C to F, that is third of the A to D. And then we have eighth from E to A. Looks like Angie and Tom have a little bit of a interval identification rivalry going on. I think that's great. Let's see who can get them the fastest. Okay, so here we go. D to E is a major second. You can play it fifth and second, and you can also come up here to 10th and grab it on this 10 and 7 from low E. All right, guys, we're going F up to D. We ran into this one in the last line. I like to put some repeats in there so that they become more familiar, right? F up to D is your major sixth. And we can still play this up 8th and 7th, right? Or you could, even if you want, we're not going over the 12th fret often, but 13 and 12 from low E to D. There. Okay, next is B to C, minor second. Kind of a sticky sound, right? So we can get it fourth of the G, first of the B, right? Another way to get it actually is fifth of the G and open B. That's a cool way to get it. Now, if you want to do the really stretchy thing, it's kind of hard to get the minor seconds to be, overly accessible in terms of stretchiness. So I wouldn't bother doing it really any other way. But if you wanted to, like if you go here, you could get the 10th fret of the D and then stretch way back to the 4th fret of the B. That's a bit of a stretch. So let's skip over that and let's go to the next one, E to G, minor third. Fifth of the B and third of the high E. Right? You can also grab this on the 9th as well as the 8th fret here, G to B. Right? And then the rest is going to take us past the 12th fret, and we don't want to worry about that too much yet. Next is G up to D, perfect fifth. So we have our D, 10th fret up here on the E string, and then our 8th fret on the B for the G. It's a perfect fifth. You can also grab it 12th fret of the G and still 10th of the high E. The rest takes us past 12th fret. So C to F is perfect fourth, right here, right on top of each other. So first of the B and the E, right? We can also get fifth of the G and sixth of the B. And then we can get 10 and 10, and the rest takes us past 12th fret. So there's our interval identification for the day, guys. It is a lot of fun. Ton Rafa, I agree. Interval identification is fun, and it also really helps you know your fretboard, right? One thing that I really like to stress when you're reading music and you notice what an interval is, then you've understood it a little bit better and you memorize stuff better. So Tom, stay tuned. Next time we're doing chord identification, which is fun too. So we're going to go from note identification to interval to chord to note to interval to chord, and we're just going to cycle through each episode. So next we're going to be doing sight reading, guys. Let me switch to my sight reading screen here, take the timer off. First, I want to always start with a little bit of rhythm sight reading, which just means we're going to clap some notes. This is in 6/8. I'm going to give you guys 1 minute, just like last time, 1 minute to go through this. So I'm going to start the timer. Here we go. 1 minute to take a look at this. This is in 6/8, guys. Remember, this has 2 beats per measure, broken up into triplets. One of the things about 6/8, you can always check out Otis Redding's music if you want to hear some good 6/8. Just about everything he did was in 6/8, and just, he was the man, Otis Redding. All right, 25 seconds on the clock, guys. 25 seconds on the clock. Angie, it's very common for rhythm to be difficult at first. So that's actually why I do these as clapping exercises and then the regular sight reading exercise, because the clapping just you don't have to be holding a guitar and have all of your mental capacity there, worrying about your technique. This is internalizing rhythm, right? So one thing before we start this exercise, guys, I want to be very clear about my intentions with all of my students. You are not a guitar player. You are a musician that happens to play guitar. The music's in here. The guitar is outside of you. You use it to play the music, but the music does have to be in here first. All right, guys, so this is 6/8. We're going to count in. There are 2 beats per measure here, and we're just going to clap. I'm going to count you guys in, but let me just explain it as we go through. So we're starting with an 8th note, so we get 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and I'm going to do it a couple more times, guys. Try to clap along. I'm going to give a nice slow count in and go a little slower this time. So we have 1 and 2 and 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 1 and 2. Good, good, good. All right, guys. Always remember, if you need to get the PDF so that you want to sit down and really look this stuff over and do it on your own outside of the lesson, I suggest that. Of course, you have to be one of the dojo members. So, you know, you do have to donate a little bit of cash to me every month, but the smallest level of donation is only $2, which is roughly the price of a coffee. This coffee actually cost me $2.50, so a month, and you get just as much as the person that is donating $25 a month. I like to be very, open with my material, but I'm also trying to save up for a house too. So, Angie says she feels like a musician and not a guitarist. That's the idea. And one of the cool things about being a musician is, what happens if you run across a banjo or a ukulele or just something else that you feel like picking up and strumming around on? Being a musician means you can play more than one instrument. I like to play cello, banjo, ukulele, all that kind of stuff too. All right, guys, starting the timer for this one. Take your time. This one is a little bit more difficult than the other one. It's in 4/4 time. We're doing the key of E minor here. After that, we're going to move on to our composition template for the day, which is going to be a lot of fun. One minute to try and read through the exercise. All right, 30 seconds on the clock. Now remember, guys, if you can't get this within a minute, you're welcome to pause the video or just come back to it, right? The idea is that you're going to read new things at least twice a week, because this show is twice a week. And as you read more, you get better at reading. The whole purpose of this show is reading and writing exercises. That's what they teach you as a kid to get really good at language. Reading and writing. That's what it's all about. So time's up for this reading. Ton Rafa, please upload a video of you playing your ukulele. I would love to hear it, and I'm sure all the other students would love to hear it too. Guys, this is a community here I'm trying to build, so I want to see you guys play. I upload videos of me playing, and I want to see you guys play. It's only fair, right? Upload it. Let's take a listen. Okay, guys, I'm gonna run you through this one real quick. And we're going to play it and move on to the composition exercise, which is a lot of fun. So we're starting with a high G, 3rd fret of the high E, right? And then we get open G, E, 2nd fret of the D, and open G again. And we get the 3rd fret of the high E for that regular G, or for the high G again, and then open G, open B, open G. Next, we're going to grab that high G again, but then we're going to get 2nd fret of the G, then open D, and then 2nd fret of the G again for that A. And then we move down to F sharp with our 3rd finger, A, C, 1st fret of the B, and the A again. And then it gets a little tricky here. We're actually going to need to come up and grab our A up here with the 2nd finger, and then bar on the 4th fret just to the D string, right? So we have A and then D sharps on the B, and then we're going to grab the D string. So that's all four. So that's fifth of the high E, fourth of the B, fourth of the D, and then fourth of the B again. And then we're going to go fifth, 4, 4, 4. But instead of doing the D string as the low note, we're doing the B string that time. And then we're going to come back down here and grab this G again, open G, second fret of the D, open G, second fret of the A for that low B, second fret of the D, and then our low E string open. Okay. So let's play through this real quick. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, guys, there we go. So that was a playthrough. I'm going to play it without counting this time so you guys can hear it and probably just a little bit faster. All right, guys, there's the sight reading for the day. We're going to move on to composition. Let me just check the chat real quick. Tan says he's going to upload it, but it's not. Leave it up for us, Tan. Don't be so shy. Here's the thing about music. It's all about experiencing it. It doesn't matter if you're the best on the planet. What matters is that you're interacting with it and it brings you joy. That's the only thing that matters. And that you're interested in it and that you're getting better at it. So part of the thing, you know, and I'll tell you this, Ton, I'm actually the same. I'm a little bit shy myself, and you guys are going to see me make mistakes on this live show. You're gonna. I promise you. I promise you. So if I make mistakes in front of you guys, can you guys make mistakes in front of me and not worry about it? That's the question. Don't worry about it. Upload your playing. Leave it up there. Let the world see it. There are people out there that may criticize it, but whatever. People criticize all kinds of stuff. They criticize me all the time for putting out free lessons. Okay, so we're moving on to the composition template. Today, I'm giving you a chord progression. A chord progression. Also, Inji, you're asking how you can catch it from the very beginning. I might start sending out an email broadcast with a link that gives you a 5-minute heads up before the show every day. So keep an eye on your email if you're still on my email list, and I'll do that. Okay, guys, so we're in the key of G major here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting with a 1 chord, which is our G chord. Now, in order to make this a little easy on ourselves, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type out the G major scale in terms of letters here, kind of in the middle. So we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So our 1 chord, of course, we start with the 1, the first scale degree, which is G. We take every other until we have 3. So it's G, B, and D. Now it's kind of up to us what we're going to be doing with the entire piece. And I would like to say, you know, perhaps mapping out a little bit of a bass line as well as a little bit of a line up top. And I would like to use the open G string as a pedal point here. So if we're going from 1 to 2, 6, which is 2 in first inversion, that's going to be our A minor chord with a C in the bass, first inversion, right? So what I'd like to do is map out a nice bass line, and I'd like to do it in quarter notes. So if we go G, A, B, and do I want to go G, A, B? Let's do this G as a half note. and then we'll keep that C right there. And actually, I want to change these notes here to what it is, 4, possibly 4. Okay, so now, sorry, I had to, the software wants me to tell it which voices to use. So there's my bass line. So let's take a listen to this bass line. If I count in, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Right? I think that sounds pretty good to me. And I kind of want to 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's kind of nice. So what that is I'm just using an open B here, and I'm going from the B to an open G, right? I'm going down, down, da, da, and I'm just keeping it like that up top, and then up here I'm going to move it up to C and A. Do I want C and A? Do I want E and A? Let's take a listen to the difference between C and A and E and A. So, do I want C and E or C and A? Yeah, I like that. So, okay. So let's make this C a half note. Okay, our 2-6, if you remember, our 2-6 is an A minor chord. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an A. We're going to go to E here. All right, so those are the chords that we're dealing with. And then what I want to do after that is perhaps an open B with the A and C with the A. And we're going to add in our bass notes. So instead of, before it was the bass line that was climbing, now it's this upper line that is climbing. So let's take a look here. We have cool, I like that. All right, so after that we're going to 5-7, which is a D7 chord. And it may be really cool. So if we already have that A and C, so we can. That's what I want. So we're looking for 5-7, which is D, F sharp, A, C. We've already got the A and C right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the A and the C there, and we're going to actually hit that C on the beat and go down to the A. And then I'd like to actually maybe just do a scale climbing up. Yes, that'll work just perfect. And then we're going to do our bass note just as an open D. And then it brings us back to 1. And I think maybe we'll do at least kind of the same thing as the first measure there. But let's take a listen to this measure that I just added. So we have. I like that, but maybe get a low G as the resolution there, and then B, A, and on top, it's going to be G, B, G, B, and then okay, so from the beginning, check this out. There's a very simple line of music right there. A nice, simple line. Now, again, we're going to take care of the second line in the next episode, guys. We're really only going to be writing about 4 bars per. I want to give you guys a chance to write some stuff and show it off to us. So I'm going to play this one more time, and I'd like you guys to write something, and we'll complete this composition next week. So I'm going to play it one more time for you. All right. So that was a nice little composition. I want to take a little time to answer you guys' questions. So let me pull up the questions, send them in the chat there. I know that we currently have 4 people watching, so not always full of questions, but if you guys can send them my way. Like Tom Rafa asks if I go a little slower, I will go a little bit slower next time. One of the things about this is I have to, I'm getting better at gauging my time, but I want to make sure that this is about a 45-minute show. I don't know if everybody has an entire hour. And I also want you to be able to pause it and use this as kind of a way to get started on the assignment over the week. But I want you guys to definitely do these warm-ups more than one day, more than just today, and work on writing with these chord progressions, you know, a little bit more than just during the show. Spend some good time on it. You know, if we're talking about a chord progression, well, what are the notes in the chord? And if you guys are not sure about that during the lesson, that would be the time to send it in the chat, and I'll explain that. Now, it's not my intention to cover the basics of music theory every episode, because I do have my music theory video for that, or the basics of reading, because I have my 100 exercises on screen for that. So be sure to ask questions about the composition and what notes are in the chords and all of that. And I'm going to try and make my composition templates better and better and better. I'm the type of person, I'm not always happy with the result. You know, what I just wrote, I would probably shred that and put it in the garbage can. But most of what people write is not their best work. So I'm going to work on making these a little more interesting in terms of the writing prompt. And perhaps I will see if we can't try and mirror some other kind of etudes written by the classical guitar greats, or even maybe some blues if you guys want that. I've been playing some blues. Okay, so Ton asked the first question. Let me scroll up and find it here. Why do some of the notes have the stem downwards and some of them have them upwards? So I'm going to pull up my my example here. You look at the stems downwards, that means that's your bass note for your thumb. It's the bass voice. These stems upward tell you that the voice is in the top. Now, if we had a line of music where it wasn't multiple voices, so for example, you see the stem going up there and you see the stem going down there, that's just because the stem should go, the stem should go across the staff, right? If the stem was down here, then we'd have a lot of open space with the stem. We have room to take up here. So as you see, I move as the note goes up above here, above the halfway point, the stem goes downwards. Unless it's like this up here, where there's multiple voices, and the stem direction in that case will actually tell you about the voicing of the piece rather than having a hard and fast rule of halfway across the stem or not. All right, so does anybody have any other questions? I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes to send those questions in, and we're weighing in right at 41 minutes, so I think the timing, I got it pretty well this time. All right, it looks like all the questions are in, and everything is everything. So some of them have two. Oh, okay. So Tana is asking, what about the sheet music where there's two stems in a single note? Sorry, I was about to close off, but there's the question, so I want to answer it. So if you think about it, we can on the guitar have a stem going up as well as a stem going down if two voices are playing that note at the same time. Classical music is arranged so that we have different voices. We've got the middle. We're basically playing 3 or 4 scales at once, going through things like that. And it helps to know that sometimes, quote unquote, both those voices will be playing the same note. So I'll do an example of that with my upcoming classical guitar lessons. Remember, guys, tomorrow morning I'm going to be uploading Fernando Soares Opus 60 #1. It's an absolute beginner piece of classical guitar, but it's also one of the prettiest, beginner melodies you're ever going to find. It's really pretty. So you guys check that out tomorrow morning. It's really, really good sight reading material, if anything else. It's also just a charming piece of music. That'll be coming out tomorrow morning. And of course, the sheet music will be available to my dojo members or for purchase for anybody else. Guys, thanks for showing up. This show is turning out to be a lot of fun. And I hope to see you guys next time. And don't forget to subscribe.